Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and this is Digna's Adventure, and we're going to visit one of the very historical museum in here, and let's see how we kick it off, if we are allowed to get some videos inside or something like that. And it's called the Born CCM. So that's how it looks like outside. Haven't been in here though, but let's try to get in and see what's inside. Ta-da! And yes, I've asked and they said it's okay, although I didn't understand what they said sometimes. But as I've observed so many people getting on their phones and the cameras in here, so okay, let's get going in here. This is the museum where we're going to see about the history of this place. Not the real history of how it is, but it's the war of the Spanish succession in here. So the war of the Spanish succession marked a turning point in the history of the country, and Barcelona lost a vital part of its territory. No notable changes have been documented in the entire archaeological area of Elborn until the end of the War of the Spanish Succession. This armed conflict between two pretenders to the Spanish monarchy shaped the future of the country and the city. The former kingdoms of Aragon and Castile supported the Habsburg Archduke Charles and the Bourbon Philip respectively. The conflict became an international one when other European powers took part in it, ending on 11th of September 1714 with the fall of Barcelona. So if you're going to see, we've got a very kind of very, what do you call this? Very important dates in here. It's 11th of September. So if you're going to see, if you're going to recall, and it's gonna be something like that. Once the war was lost, its winner decided to build a military citadel, serving a twofold purpose: defending the city along one of its weakest points and repressing its citizens. This is a pentagonal star-shaped fortress with 5 bastions at each of its angles, 2 of which point directly to the city. The citadel needs a security area where it is open to the city, an esplanade where there can be no building on any kind, and which allowed the troops to sally out in case of a revolt in the city. 1,000 houses were pulled down between April of 1716 and July 1718. 42 streets disappeared, 5 of which partially. 20% of Barcelona's population were moved, and 14 buildings, including heritage elements from the church, public buildings, and facilities, were destroyed. The Elborn archaeological site is a highly representative sample of all the houses and streets that were pulled down. The demolition was carried out in 3 stages from April 1716 to April 1717, from April to September 1717, and finally the 3rd stage, which ended in July 1718. The aim behind pulling down the houses was to regularize the esplanade by leveling out its area between the citadel and Plaza del Born, which is why there was no need to pull down houses as far as their foundations in the most depressed areas, thereby halting the demolition at the level market out of the military engineers. This would explain the ordinary side of preservation of Elborn archaeological area, with walls of up to over 2 meters in height at many points in the site. The Bourbon authorities forced their owners to pull down their own houses or pay for their demolition. And Barcelona's carpenters and house builders to take part in the building of citadel, receiving a miserable salary of 5 sous a day, carrying out a minimum of 40 journeys, as they would not have otherwise received any payment. If the area the old Elborn market occupied at the time of demolition had been the same level as Plaza Dilborn, the archaeological site today would have looked completely different. The archaeological structures preserved in some of the areas were practically leveled during the archaeological work in 1991 on Plaza Comercial. And yes, that is the war of the Spain succession. And if we're going to read all the history of Elborn, history of Barcelona, we've got this archaeological site, we've got to go with this Roman era, we've got to go with this Muslim era and the medieval city. The first documentary reference giving information on buildings in an area nearby Elborn was dated back to the 10th century when El Rec Comte was built, a key piece in the development of this part of the city. Barcelona's trade center was established in this sector between 1050 and 1250, when both the city and its suburbs underwent considerable growth. The population occupying the eastern part became increasingly important, and Santa Maria de las Arenas supported a wide sector known as Vilanova del Mar, which extended through the north to the area around the San Cugat del Rec church. This area had already become the city's most active section from 13th century on. This is a large area of narrow parallel street which continued to extend outward as the sea moved back and its land was reclaimed. The first center formed the region of the future La Ribera neighborhood, which later on came to occupy both sides of El Rec. So that's all about the, Elborn Center de Cultura and a Memoria. And that's the little bit inside of this kind of Elborn cultural and memory of the city, of the place of Barcelona, which I've read and I've researched, and I've just kind of shared to you how people look at it at the olden times. So yes, guys, it's all about history today, and hope to share you a little bit more in the future as I dig deep on this kind of things in here, and wish to explore with you about history of each city, wherein I am thinking of visiting some of it in the future if I've got the time in here. So thank you all, guys, for your unending love and support, and thank you for the kind of hugging my content in here and my channel in here. So I'll see you back again in there, and we'll see you much more in here as we go along in this journey. We've kind of sharing things and bits and pieces of our own things where we are, and it's kind of such a very nice thing for us to do. And again, thank you, guys. I'll see you again, and I'll see you in a bit, and I'll see you around in here. This is how the outside of it. So again, thank you very much, guys, for coming and for watching. Adios.